Hello, dear starshines. Welcome, welcome, welcome to today's lunchtime chats. My name is Christina with Light Body Academy. And for those of you who are new, I'm an acceleration expert, and I'm here to talk about topics and issues that are significant for us starseeds and way showers, and pretty much those of us humans that have perceptions and abilities that are beyond what the typical human might experience or embrace. So because of that, we have very unique perspectives and challenges that we face on a daily basis, and I do the best of my ability to give a liberated perspective to these pieces. And I can't thank you guys enough, because every week you guys bring stuff in to for us, fresh stuff for us to be talking about and diving into. So quite literally, this community rocks because you guys rock. So thank you so much for being here. Hello, hello, hello. I guess a lot of people beat me. Hello, dear Susan. Hello, Beverly. Good to see you, darling. Hello, dear Jackie. A young trick named Jim and his partner. Hello, hello, hello. And we have, yep, hello, darling. Wonderful to see you guys. All right. Laura. Okay, yes, I just saw Laura's name jump out. Hello, hello, hello. All right, so the gang is here. The crew is here. So now we need to jump into the topics that we're here to talk about. So there have been some discussions on the different groups. The one that really jumps out at me that I'm excited to talk about is timelines. How it feels like, what it feels like to have a in real life lifetime timeline shift. Like, what does it feel like, or what kinds of things do you experience when you've actually done a timeline jump? And then I also want to talk about why so many of these timeline jumpings are happening, and because this is super exciting stuff, guys. I feel like this is like more great news for humanity, right? Um, and then there was a couple questions that were posed in our group about hypnosis and stuff like this. So thank you, Beverly, for that. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about that. I saw that just before I hopped on here. So that's a new thought in my mind, but I'm definitely going to look at it because this is a thing. So here's the thing. Humans, our subconscious is so vast, right? And most of what we create in our reality resides in our subconscious. And then most of what is getting created in our reality, because of our frame up about reality, we don't believe we're the ones doing it, and therefore we don't believe these understandings and stories that tell us potentially our subconscious or unconscious has been hijacked or incepted or messed with in some way. So I want to talk. That's the angle I want to go into the conversation with. But first, let's first step back and look at the timeline thing. Who here in the group feels like they have done a timeline jump before, or maybe they've done lots of timeline jumps? So I want to know, one, who feels like they've experienced that, and two, what signs did you notice? What indications were there that showed you did a timeline jump? Okay. Um, Now, my first recollection of timeline jumping started back in 2008. So it's been a while for me, but I have noticed significant increase in this experience. So so I'll share the story of the very first time I noticed that a timeline jump happened. And what happened was, I was in a kind of strange living situation, and I really, really wanted something. I really, really wanted something that I felt like wasn't going to happen. I really, really wanted a specific event to occur. And I don't know if you guys recall, there was a time when the work of David Wilcock, like in the beginning of his work, all that stuff was exploding. And there was information about a particular moment astrologically with a February new moon where there was an opening for a course correction in the timelines. Whether it's good or bad, right or wrong, doesn't matter. Just that was something that was put into the collective, and a lot of people in the collective were looking forward to this particular juncture, including myself. So before I went to bed, I set my intent to create this thing that I really, really wanted. All right. I woke up the next day and nothing felt right. I felt like I woke up in someone else's bed, but it was my bed. I felt like I woke up and was, walking through the house, but it was someone else's house, but it was my house. And everything just felt kind of like weird. So there was a presence that started to present itself to me while I was sitting in my living room, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to channel. I need to channel what this is, what this presence is. So I channeled. And what the channeling of my higher self said was, I shifted enough, I tuned enough of my frequency, of my quantum, to be a frequency match for this timeline that I just woke up in. I was like, what? I just created a timeline and I get to have what I wanted. I was super, super excited. Now, of course, I had to reconcile that timeline because it was not the truth to my soul path. Okay, so I eventually jumped out of that timeline and back into the ones that were in resonance with my soul path. But that was my first experience of jumping timelines. This was, like I said, around 2008. So with the speeding up of these things, okay. Oh, cool. So, dear Ella, Daniela says, me. She's had some timeline jumping experiences. Yes, definitely. I believe this is Bella Daniela. And then we have Ella says, it felt in an intersection, one decision away, made it and felt a huge shift. Okay, so she was, from what I'm hearing, that she was aware of the impact a decision was making as far as creating another timeline or going into a different spectrum of timeline potentials. And then yes, cool. Yes, Bella Daniela, yes, thank you for reminding me of that. So for those of you who are saying yes, keep feeding this in. How did you notice? What worked for you? This is important because other people need to hear this so they don't think they're crazy. I kind of, I was already in this environment back in 2008, so I didn't experience it as crazy. I experienced it as a miracle. I was like, hell yeah, I did it. High five self, But of course, that decision did not come without later trauma and pain. I mean, I did have to go through a very painful period in my life to reintegrate back into my old timeline. So it wasn't without its repercussions. And there could be lots of reasons about that beyond what I can touch with my awareness. I only can tell you the parts that I'm aware of. So let's fast forward. So then the timeline jumping starts happening more and more and more and more. And I was exposed to this video, I don't know, it was several years later, that was this 14-year-old, 13-year-old kid. Well, it depends what universe, what timeline you're in. Oh, yeah. Before I go into that story, I have to explain why I interchange the word universe and timelines. People may get kind of confused. Why do I do that? And that's because in my perception, we can have, I could be sitting right here on the couch and you can be sitting next to me on the couch and we could be talking, but we can be sourcing from completely different universes. Okay. I mean, I could be sourcing from a totally different universe than your infinite nature, your soul nature, imbuing your biosuit, including your actual biosuit, sourcing from a different universe. Now, the reason why this is, I'm talking about in this way, because the universe from which you are sourcing yourself is what creates the timeline potentials for you. Okay. And so this is why I talk about people can be sharing the same room with you and being completely different universes than you. Okay, this is true. This is a something that really melts our perceptions of, the concreteness that we think this reality is about. We think this reality is built on this, and linear time is something that can't be, you can't stop or manipulate. But the truth is, you can. All of this is manipulatable. Everything about creation is manipulatable. And the teachers of the masters, the master teachers I've worked with, they've constantly reiterated to me over and over again that the universe, our reality, is so extremely malleable. That is exactly why it eludes us. We don't understand how powerful our thoughts and emotions, our beliefs and our stories, and how much they influence and frame up our reality. The very nature of our language is a deciding factor on how narrow our thought forms are or how expanded. Okay. There's this term called colonization that's going around, and this is something that's coming out of some of the BLM movement. Now, I don't care about the validity of the movement. I know there's a lot of conspiracy and a lot of different clashes about the ideas of critical race theory and all that. I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about what I'm taking from this is some language to that people are using to describe this piece that I'm talking about. And that is that, you know, the colonizers came that spoke English, a very linear, definitive type of way of speaking, right? They would come over, conquer a civilization, and everybody would have to learn English. Instantly, the population would become dumbed down. And that is because English is not a living language. A living language are the languages that speak in rhyme or speak in poetry. Okay, so a lot of our indigenous cultures, that's exactly how their language was. Their language was metaphorical. Their language was poetic. Their language, you know what I mean? So the listener, depending on who is hearing you say something, they would have to have their heart present, their spirit present, and be listening to you with all of their being in order to understand what you were saying. If they were just listening with their mental field to your words, you know, then they would be, you know, the energy would be into trying to translate what the poetry meant, right? So quite literally cuts us off from part of ourselves. This is why a lot of indigenous cultures considered English and many of the Latin language a dead language, because it has no soul, it has no life. Now, circling that back to the frame up of how we think and feel. How we think and feel frames everything up in our reality. And not only that, in my opinion, is multidimensional, it's part of creating the reality that's right in front of us. So this idea of colonization, they want to decolonize their language. They want to decolonize their thinking, decolonize their perspectives, right? Which, I mean, who doesn't want to do that? I mean, this is how I feel. Who doesn't want to do that? I know many people of the Western world that grew up in a typical, Caucasian upbringing that feel how it's devoid of spirit and the mysteries and stuff like that, and they reach out to find themselves through the indigenous roots. You know, many people do this, and they embrace that culture 100%, all in the effort of trying to remember themselves. You see what I mean? Okay, so this, I promise this does connect. This all connects. So if we were brought up being told stories about the Fey realm, about interdimensional beings, about the mystical realms, it would not be a big leap in an imagination that I could be sitting here on the couch being sourced from one universe, speaking to somebody else who's being sourced from another universe. That wouldn't be such a big leap in my understanding if I had that kind of mystical upbringing. You see what I mean? Okay, so the kind of universe you are sourcing from is what creates the timeline potentials you have to explore. I should say you are exploring with your soul. Your soul is exploring all those timelines simultaneously at the same time. Okay? All right. Now, I'm going to touch on why timeline shifting is happening so quickly. Okay. And this is a really complex type of understanding, so I'm going to try to make it as simple as possible, and you guys let me know. And it's really dark in here today. That's why the computer light is like super bright shining on me, because it happens to be really cloudy out today. Anyway, so you guys are familiar with interdimensional AI technology. You guys are familiar with the concept of hostile ET agendas. You guys are familiar with the idea of control systems, interdimensional control systems getting implemented in our solar ring and this planet that are meant to siphon off life force energy, right? All these pieces you guys are all familiar with already. I'm assuming this is where I'm starting with my conversation here at baseline. Those things are already given. You already know that. So what has happened is that the whole inception of our reality isn't the physical takeover of this planet. It is the interdimensional domination of our quantum. Okay, that means every grid work that we go into siphons life force energy from us instead of informing us in a deep, informing our subconscious in a way of how that we are completely connected with creation. We are one with creation. We are the one within the many, right? We are the drop. We are the entire ocean in a tiny drop. Those kinds of structures are not real prevalent. If they exist, they're buried in hiding. They're secret. They're unrecognizable because nobody has the eyes to see. Okay. This is why the truth can be hidden in plain sight for your whole life and not see it until you're ready to, right? So what's happening is that on the cosmic arena level, and I use that term, I got that term from George Kavassilis, who does lots of great work in the interdimensional stuff. I've mentioned his name many times. You guys are, just search his videos. There's lots of people who have interviewed him where they just go really deep into some great juicy stuff. But I like the term. I really like the term cosmic arena because it gives you the idea that there's a whole nother level of who we are interacting and creating things that impact our here and now kind of self. Okay, so what's happening in the cosmic arena is that a lot of the sacred encodements that are doorways to our own infinite nature are getting reclaimed. They're getting reclaimed from the AI intrusions, the distortions, the reversals, the inversions. They're reclaiming these frequencies from being used in this way. And because that is happening, all of the false AI, those timelines that come with it are collapsing. So all the parts of us that have been unknowingly invested in those, all the parts of us as in our souls that are exploring all these timelines at once, right? That were once invested in, that are participating in those alternate timelines, all of a sudden there's no timeline for our quantum to be invested in. So now we're consolidating into this timeline or timelines that are closer to our original blueprint for being here. Does this make sense what I'm saying, how I'm saying it? Please let me know, because this is really important for us, because it really takes the edge off of, because some people kind of freak out when they realize they're timeline jumping, or some people freak out at the idea of waking up in an entirely different universe. Your ego driver will feel the same. Well, the same, but different, right? Okay, let me dive in because I have a couple responses. Dear Bella Daniela says, self-regulation, somatic experiencing helps me with the weird feeling of timeline shifts and also gives me the ability to integrate what is being presented. And getting quiet and checking in. Okay, so this is how she copes. This is how she deals. What kinds of signs, when you wake up in the morning or when you turn the corner and see you're in a different timeline, what kinds of, what presents to you that gives you that indication of, oh, I think I just changed timelines? All right, then a young trick named Jim says, I've been saying for years that the English language was specifically structured to dumb down a while. Okay, so he's touching on the language piece. Yeah, right, to dumb us down while also being a spell casting language. I'm just glad someone else is saying it too. Yes, we can be crazy together, my dear. That's the wrong one. All right, so Della, all right, hold on. There was another dear sister star sign. Oh, there we go. I wanted to put Ella's comment in there because this was she shared, this is how she feels that timeline potential shift, right? So the kinds of things that pop up to me, okay, and this is where the story of the young man comes in. Okay, the kinds of things that pop up for me are really simple things, like a dear brother Starshine shared in our group yesterday. Jonathan, if I'm recalling correctly, talked about buying a box of cookies and sharing them with his wife and kid, and then the next day it was a different box of cookies. Now he knew for certain it was a certain kind of cookie because he, really went specifically for that. And then the next day they were not the cookie that he thought he bought. Something as simple and plain as that gave him an indication. Oh my gosh, should I jump a timeline? That's the kind of stuff you look out for, because think of jumping timelines, changing universes, like going into parallel universes, parallel realities. Okay. Another example, you take anything in pop culture. Anything in pop culture, that means, anything that where a lot of people like and it appeals to. Because the bigger it is in pop culture, the bigger the impact of that energy is across many parallel realities and timelines, right? So for example, Disney would exist in lots and lots of timelines, and those, because those films are prolific and they've influenced so many people, right? So the example given by this young man, if you just type in mirror, mirror on the wall, 13-year-old genius into YouTube, you'll probably get to the video. He explains on how he can tell when he's in different universes, when he's jumped, and he connects his very scientific kid, and he connects this experience into the understanding of what CERN is doing, CREN, CERN. Okay, that's the Hadron Collider. So he chimes in by saying, looking at pop culture is the way that he can tell if he's changing universes, if he's going to parallel universes, because they will change. Like, say there's a famous slogan. What's a famous slogan or line that you know of, like a movie reference, right? And the one that he used is mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? Okay. And in his observation, in one version of his life, he remembers watching that movie where the line was different. It was like mirror, mirror on the wall. There was another sentence in there, tell me, who's the fairest of them all, right? And then at the time of making the video, the line was different. The line, if you look in history and watch the Disney movie, it's different. It's not the line that he remembers. Okay. So just think about some movie references that are really big from our generation. If you go and think about maybe your favorite one, maybe there's a Goonies quote, maybe there's, you know what I mean? There's some way, and go back and watch that movie and see if it's how you remember it being. Okay. Just something fun to do. All right. Let's see. Hey, dear sister. Glad to see you. And then we have Beverly says, what about losing items where you know it was at that location? Yes, that also happens. Absolutely. I love surprise mystery cookies. Sounds like an enjoyable timeline jump. Yeah, I get you. Oh, yeah, definitely have a humor about this stuff, because our ego driver has a freak out moment like, oh my God, I have no idea how I just shifted. And do I need to get on the right timeline? How do I get back? I feel trapped. Someone made a decision without me. Your ego driver can flip out, all right, and then we have Bella Daniela again chiming in. I can tell when a shift has happened because something big has shifted. Okay, I think she's talking about a feeling. Yeah, the air feels different. Yes. Also, synchronicities come in big time, and I hear from those close to me of synchronous experiences. Yes, exactly. Thank you so much for breaking that down like that. Exactly. That's how I also feel it like this. And then Tony is remembering the line as being magic mirror on the wall, or either that's how you remember it, or that was the line that the boy used. It might have been the line that the boy used. Yeah. Thank you for that. So just to reference you guys, if you go check out the video, it's like a 20-something long video. Cute kid, just, you could tell that he's, kind of bored being the smartest one in the room all the time. Mm-hmm. Okay, so young trick named Jim also remembers it being mirror, mirror on the wall. And then the alternate version was magic mirror on the wall. Yes, thank you. Yes, good to see you. Good to see you guys. All right, so these little things are the kinds of things that show up. And it can be as obvious as objects not being in your life anymore, or not being not kept where they were, things disappearing. That happens. But also, do know elemental beings like to mess with us sometimes. Like if we're in the process of befriending some elemental beings and they happen to be like, maybe fairies or something like this, they do like to pull pranks, so they will take your keys. They will take stuff to mess with you. So I have to put that little exception in there about things going missing, right? But the other thing that I noticed is that names for things will also change, which is totally bizarre. It's like certain vernaculars will shift. I timeline jumped when things went from being cool to being chill. Now that took me a second to catch up with, right? Um, there's little details like this, but do know that this timeline jumping is happening on a soul level. It's not just your ego driver in this particular individuation that's experienced the timeline jumping. There are many timelines your soul is imbuing and acting out all at once simultaneously, and there's a massive amount of artificial timelines that have collapsed. So there's massive amounts of quantum coming to the parts of us that are on these timelines that are in alignment with the Pachamama, the great earth. You see what I mean? So that's why it's happening, and just play with it. Now that you're aware of it on this level, what happens? What do you notice? I had a different keychain. I woke up and I was in a reality where I had a keychain, which is something that I would never do in the previous timeline, because my at the time I was, wow. Okay. Well, at the time I was with a partner that would always tell me about the dangers of having too heavy of a key ring, because it messes up your ignition cylinders. So, so therefore I would never have a key ring or a keychain. But then I woke up in a timeline where I did, and I was like, oh, that's weird. And of course I took off the stuff on the keychain. I assumed that the cylinders, the ignition cylinders, still work the same. All right. So, does anybody have any cool timeline jumping stories? I would be interested to hear about that. Okay, and so these universes thing. So these universal overlays are stripping off, which is great, because now I know it's we think universe, we think outwardly, but really what this is doing, the outward, those overlays in the outward universe as we understand it, is actually happening inside of us, which means we're getting much more direct access to our ancestral memory. We're getting much more direct access, cleaner access to our cellular memories. Okay. And we're also getting cleaner access to our akashic soul level memories. Okay. This is a great thing, because all the blinders that humanity has developed by being lied to for so long, right, are going, all those constructs, all the constructs and static and noise that those lies have made in the ethers, in the astral realms, aren't there anymore. So all it requires is somebody paying attention, being quiet for a minute, and they're going to have access. Okay. They're going to have deeper access than they did before. Okay. So this is here. I'm just going to put that next one up there. This is how it goes. It requires being quiet. It requires paying attention, like having a focus, right? Focus is so important. Because what happens is that we have been trained, actually everything in this world has been cultivated to create or maintain, let's say, I'm saying it wrong, hold on, let me back up, to encourage distraction, like ADD level distraction. Okay. Now, someone who is truly ADD can manage that, because we can be in multiple places at one time doing things, right? We can manage that. But for people who aren't naturally ADD, that is a problem. That is something that takes away from their focus, and they lose the ability to use their will to take actions on things, because of overwhelm, because of confusion, because of lots of things, right? So this world, everything about it is around distractions. And even worse, what they do is that we're taught to measure time and to split our time, to split our time. And the more we can, more efficient, the more we can do, get done, look at, absorb, learn in chunks of time, the better off we are, the more empowered human we are. Okay. This is completely backwards, because the more we split time, the more we're splitting our awareness, the more we're splitting our attention, the more we're splitting our focus. Okay, so we don't want to multitask. We don't want, sometimes, right? Some places it's right, it works. Some places it doesn't. Like motherhood is learning how to multitask efficiently. You know, you're doing lots of things at once, but that's a unique situation. Not everybody is in that role, right? So, mhm. Okay. Oh, thank you. Am I glowing, or is it just a shiny? I think the light's just shiny. You guys are very sweet though. Okay. Coming back together. So we're taught to split time. That creates distraction. And so pretty much the baseline of an average human being in the Western world, there's so much of their time is split in different directions. There's no, unless they make it, there's no time to focus, to be still, to be quiet. So they may never notice these openings within themselves. Those of us here, we notice. Why do we notice? Number one, because we understand the value of silence. Okay, we actually train ourselves to quiet our minds. Some of us go to extremes, train ourselves to quiet our minds while we're going through extreme experiences. Some people even do that. That's part of some shamanic training. Okay, so and then of course our focus. We know the power of our focus, and we choose what we're going to focus our bandwidth on. So our very value system for living is what carries us into this new paradigm naturally, with grace and with ease. Now, because the rest of humanity has very different value system going on, they're not going to be on a conscious level as we move through. Not that they're not going to, they all are coming. That's because this is getting cleaned up in the cosmic arena level. Remember those nesting dolls? Remember those nesting dolls? Remember those nesting dolls, right? So if the entire Milky Way galaxy spectrum of consciousness, I'm talking about the Milky Way galaxy, black hole, white hole, and all the parallel expressions of her, gets the false timelines pulled out of her and reclaimed by the great, we're just going to say, cosmic mother consciousness, right? That means all beings and all versions of the Milky Way are getting impacted. You see what I mean? So I take that as all of humanity, all the real humans of this earth is on this ride with us. Okay. Now, why am I saying that like that? Is because there are beings, there are demonic seeds, there are interdimensional maleficence that has been seeded within some of our bloodlines that are incarnating as humans. They're not meant to be here. They were not part of the original blueprint. And the original blueprint is limiting language. I'm sorry. I wish I had a better way to say it. Angelic blueprint, but that also has its limits because it has nothing to do with angels the way most humans understand it. But pretty much it's like, they were the invading force incepting our reality, and they are now not able to hook in the way they once did. So the lineages that are actually carrying those demonic seeds, those maleficent seeds, those interdimensional creatures, that DNA is going to get reclaimed and it's going to end. Okay. Actually, I'm getting more that it's ended. It has ended. There's no more new demonic seeds happening in the human bloodlines anymore. Okay. Please, I hope this is making sense the way I'm saying it. To me, this makes total sense, right? I just need to know that it's landing crystal clear for you guys too, or it would be nice to know. It feels like some of it is, it feels like some of it isn't. Maybe you guys are multitasking. I imagine that happening too. But anyway, getting to the reclamation of the human. So everything in the Milky Way galaxy and all her versions is all getting reclaimed. Those false timelines are coming out, and now here we are. Now we have a massive massive opportunity to reclaim our lineage, going back before time was time. I'm talking about reclaiming all the souls that experience those misery program timelines, all those hijackings. We can reclaim them. We can play our part in welcoming them back home. Right? We can do that. We all can do that. Every single one of you right here can do that. If it resonates, I definitely do that. All right. Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you. Yes, awesome. I appreciate the feedback. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. All right. Dear Tammy says, thank you, Christine, about the timeline subject. I've been requiring to stop and tell myself to focus, Tammy. Much businessy lately, a busyness lately, and feeling pulled in many directions at once with life happenings. Yes. Yeah, and that's, I think I imagine this experience getting a little bit easier as far as, like, I'm thinking about the busyness, because when the busyness happens, we go into our linear mind, and now we're focusing on how to manage all of the linear progression of the busyness, right? Versus when we're able to stay behind our eyes and in our bodies, it's like, it's the busyness can happen without the buzzingness, without a lot of the head energy going. It's more like a consolidated happening, if that makes sense. Things are synchronizing just perfectly. Your mind doesn't need to be in charge of anything. Things are synchronizing. This is how I mentioned this in Telegram yesterday. This is how I can tell my immediate environment is being imbued with essence. The depth of synchronicity is there. It's like, I think it happens. I think of somebody, they call. I think of whatever, and I get sent a message. Things like that. Or I'll realize, oh my gosh, I finally have a realization. Oh, I've been trying to figure out what I want. Now all of a sudden I know what I want. And then I'll get a call or a message that somebody um, wants to give me what that particular thing is. Like synchronicities like this, understandings that I've been craving to pick apart and unravel will all of a sudden just drop like truth bombs and epiphanies, and my mind is blown for a while. Think like that kind of stuff happens. Life becomes effortless and joyful and easy, uh, and exciting at that point, when my reality is heavily imbued with essence. And a lot of times just saying that out loud would elicit criticism from people around us. Like, what do you mean it's easy? Well, that's easy. That's because you have this and da, 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 right? So people actually don't the default human response isn't necessarily to celebrate that quality of your life. That's because they're programmed. They're in their program. So I guess what I'm saying here is, because these things are coming apart, those programs won't be so dominant anymore within the human people that give themselves a moment to be quiet and to focus for a second. Those undermining behaviors won't be there in the way that they have been in the old paradigm. All right, dear Sister Tammy says, reclamation of those seeds in my lineages brought sweet tears to my eyes. Aw, thanks. Yes, that's great. That's great. We're so potent as multidimensionals. We're so potent in what we can do. We're so potent in how we can assist everybody that's connected to us. Not that we need to be saviors. It's more about reclaiming our birthright. And when we reclaim our birthright, there's that part of us that does not that wants all suffering to end. We see that suffering is not a necessity. And just to give you a little shadow look into how incepted our teachings are, there are profound, and I love Taoist teachings, but there are profound Taoist teachings, certain disciplines that teach to live is to suffer. Okay, but that's not the truth. That's a twist on the understanding. It is very, very realistic in the new paradigm that to live is to love. To live is to experience. and celebrate, to enjoy, to connect. You see what I mean? Much different, much, much different. All right. All right. Dear Tammy says, I've been also reminding here, hold on. I've been also been reminding myself to breathe into my high heart, and that brings me back. Yes, the high heart is an important piece that gets activated, because this is the part of you that's beyond duality. So anybody who feels drawn to this, I would encourage you guys to do this. Oops, 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 oops. Sorry, Eva, I didn't mean to click on that. It just kind of clicked. Okay. Okay. Lynn and Crystal Clear. Thank you, dear Sister Jackie. All right. Now I was starting to talking. Oh, the hypnosis, right? The hypnosis piece and the inception of our subconscious, right? I want to ask you guys, who here has seen the movie Inception? Inception with Leonardo Leonardo DiCaprio. I can say his name, and I can't remember the other people's names, but he was in it. Who has seen that movie Inception? This is about dreaming, group dreaming, and how to incept ideas into one's dream. Ah, there we go. Thank you. Bon Figlione. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You commented before. Thank you. Yep. So they've seen it. Right. This is, if you haven't seen it, this is an excellent, excellent movie. Whoever wrote this movie was seriously in the know. There was a master of dream time involved with that movie, with the writing these things. Awesome. Several of you people seen it. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, so kind of what they allude to, but they don't really go into in that movie, is the power of incepting ideas through dream time to people. Because when you do it through dream time, what happens is that it comes out in the person's creativity, and they experience it as if they have thought of the idea themselves. Wow, right? Wow, 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 wow. Okay. Definitely. Yeah, sit with that for a second. That was a body of study of how to seed ideas into somebody. So when they are in their waking world, they experience that idea as if it is theirs. Okay. Wow. Several of you guys have seen it. All right. Eva hasn't seen it, but definitely watch it. Yeah. I think it's on Netflix if you have that. Anyway. Yeah, let that sink in. So that is just the human psyop part of it, right? That movie was sourcing from. But there's much more. Imagine the power beings that present themselves as deities might have with that kind of thing, planting things into your subconscious. Matter of fact, there was a movie that revealed that. Do you guys remember the old movie Clash of the Titans that came out in the 80s with gosh, I can't remember anybody's name that was in that movie either, but you guys know it's the guy that played Hamilton, Hamilton was his name. Something Hamilton. Anyway, when they wanted to get a message out to the human people, this is Zeus on Mount Olympus, conspiring with the other gods and goddess within that pantheon. Athena came forward and said, I will speak to my seers and channelers and tell them to expect him. Okay, now knowing what we know about ET agendas, do you realize the Greek gods, those are ETs, those are interdimensional beings, those are not human, right? They're from another place. They're playing creator gods. They are seeding messages and ideas into the subconscious of the people. In this case, it was the channels and oracles and stuff like this. Harry Hamlin, thank you. Thank you, Sherry. Yes, thank you, darling. So what I'm saying, what the idea I'm conveying here is not a new thought, perhaps framed up in a different way. So coming back to that cosmic arena and the overlays and all that stuff, with those kinds of ideas in your mind now, imagine the power that these beings have to influence our world that we create with our own subconscious, conscious, and actions. Conscious mind and actions. Now we can see how this planet has been fully dominated by those beings. Our reality is fully dominated by those beings. Okay, because remember, everything is about creating, using life force as a commodity. It's all about extrapolating quantum. They just want to feed on this energy more and more and more and more. And someone might say, well, this is the natural unfoldment of consciousness. This is how it's supposed to happen. Because if it didn't happen, if it wasn't part of our map of consciousness, it wouldn't happen. Okay, so that's a yes and a no. What's been going on, these overlays, what's happening is that the overlay that was getting placed, I'm going to say was, past tense, was getting placed over the Milky Way galaxy and her many versions of her, was actually being sourced from a dark fallen system. So the very galactic mind itself got incepted with the poison of this fallen system. And this, my friends, is what's ending. This is what's getting extrapolated. The great cosmic mother consciousness is reclaiming these realities back again and pushing all that stuff out. This is happening because this is time. This is a cycle that we're in. Okay. So it's not like, it's not like a conquering good over evil kind of story. That's not the story I'm telling. I'm telling you, when it's time, it's time. And right now, this is the time that we're going in. We are now in the process of getting reclaimed by the Great Mother Cosmic Consciousness. Some people call it the Christ Sophia consciousness. Okay. I don't necessarily resonate with those terms, though many people who are on this journey and are aware of these levels like those terms and use them. So I'm just saying that out loud like that for those guys. Okay. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, yeah, see, yay, light bulb going on. Woohoo, it is trippy, isn't it? It is super trippy. Let me go back to that one. Oh my gosh, it is so trippy. But it's true. That's what's crazy. It is totally true. Okay, so Christopher Nolan, he seems pretty awake for the mainstream Hollywood guy. Yes, 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 yes. That's the director, I believe he's talking about. So there's a lot of people in the know. Another show, everybody's going to be binge watching shows now. Another show that was written by somebody in the know, and that person was Brad Pitt, is OA. You guys remember that original Angel OA? There's 2 seasons. It's a Netflix original. Interdimensional travel. This guy was inducing near life experiences and recording what people were experiencing after they died and then bringing them back to life. And he would do that over and over and over again. And what happened was those people discovered the keys of how to open their timeline reality and timeline jump, universe jump into different universes. Okay. That was executively produced by Brad Pitt. Okay. So I'm just saying that, and he was part of the writing, and he was a major part in the creation of that series. What is profound about that series is that they tie together the power of the biosuit combined with our awareness, our focus, our emotions with movement, that our biosuit can open interdimensional portals and we can actually leave timelines, leave universes, and wake up in other universes. That's OA. Okay. All right, so young trick named Jim says, I loved OA. Poorly written, but great message. I agree. There was definitely a better way to tell the story, but the fact that they got that story out was phenomenal. And really, the second season is even more profound. And the reason why the second season rocked my world, because they started bringing in, oh, I'm sorry, Beverly, you just remind me, I'm getting off the hypnosis thing. It's coming. The reason why the second season totally rocked my world is because they brought into scope the power of collective dreaming. They were recording dreams of a mass of people that were part of a crowdsourcing campaign. So they actually showed a model of what it looked like to crowdsource dream time. Yep, that's season 2. Yes, absolutely crazy. Really? Did you ever try the dancing protocol? Oh, that's a cool question. Yeah, no, I've never tried the dancing protocol, but that's an interesting idea, isn't it? The dancing protocol is the thought and feeling journey that the biosuit has to go through in order to open up the portal. That's what they're talking about. Okay, so hypnosis, going back to hypnosis. And this goes for not just hypnosis, but binaural beat frequency technology, any kind of subliminal suggestion meditation technologies. There's a certain kind of QRS technology with electronic field information fields feeding this in. Healy could be a part considered of this kind of technology. Okay, so this is a really interesting thing, because the method is the same whether you use it for the intent to help somebody or harm somebody. So, like, for example, hypnosis. Hypnosis is a way to usurp the conscious mind and plant seeds into the subconscious mind, right? Obviously, that could be used for not so great purposes. And also, you can also see how this could super help someone who's having a really big problem, like how to get out of an eating disorder, or to get past an addiction, or to get over a trauma response. So on a therapeutic level, it's very, very helpful. But it also can incept ideas. And there have been binaural beat technologies combined with flashing lights and stuff like this that I've experienced, where it completely turned me off. I was like, there's something else in those frequencies than just what they say it is, And it's interesting because some people would do that therapy and they went over the moon, loved it. I'm going to do this every day. And they would have this therapy for optimal brain function, for high level performance, athletic performance, academic performances. There's lots of ways. So lots of treatments that they would do. So there were some people that loved it all the way, and other people were on the fence, or some people were like me, where I just had a straight aversion to it, And the ones I find that were really into it were pretty mainstream people. They seem to be closer to the mainstream spectrum of consciousness. And those of us, that maybe were on the fence, we had a lot more discerning. Our compass had more fine-tuned discernment. You know what I mean? Usually we had a very strong spiritual inclination. And I know this because I spoke to about 30 people and asked them what they thought about this technology, because I happened to be at a center where everybody had to experience the technology, and as part of as a complimentary service. So, and the cool thing is that if you like any of the services that you got, you can buy the technology for yourself. So there was, it was that kind of thing. So people were there sharing their evaluations. And so I found that really helpful. All right. Okay. All right. I'm visiting this conversation between young trick named Jim and Beverly about the dance. I'm just seeing which is the dance that moves and builds energy. Here, actually, I want to show this one. All right. When I go into an altered state, I often do what is called the dance of the Vosts. VOSTSTES. I'm probably saying that wrong, which is a dance that moves and builds energy throughout the energy centers. Yes. This goes along with a Mayan teaching that I'm aware of that talks about the human in a biosuit is a energy capacitor. We have the capacity to produce more energy than we can consume, and there's a specific kind of dance or a series of dances that you can do either individually or in a group to build up big energies in the ethers, big energies in the astral. And that's a really cool thing. That's awesome that you do that, Andrew. So maybe you do the dance. All right, so Soul Schooling says, Galactic Mother told me that she knows what she's doing and she's got us. Aw, that's awesome. Very cool. Thank you. Let me get to the rest of that hypnosis question, so I make sure I'm answering it all the way with the time that I have. I'm sorry, Beverly. I totally got off on a tangent and didn't come back to it. I mean, I touched on it a little bit, but there's always more. I have a lot of friends that do energy medicine practitioners who are also hypnotherapists, and they got to that place by exploring hypnotherapy. Like they discovered their channeling ability by practicing hypnotherapy. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with Dolores Cannon. She has an entire body of work cataloging and tracking hypnotherapy sessions. Okay, she's actually mapped out an afterlife experience based on the hypnotherapy sessions that she's facilitated. So it's really powerful. I put that up there with the power of crowdsourcing dream time. Okay. And by the way, and you might say maybe like, does the Dreamtime Healing Project have anything to do, have any parallels to this? It does, in the sense that we're crowdsourcing dream time to pull forward the frequencies that liberate humanity, that liberate us from our blind spots to who we really are and our birthright as humans, as infinite beings in this human body. So that's the flavor of our particular way of working dream time. We have to dismantle those blind spots. We have to dismantle those hooks and those drags that have us locked into certain distortions, so we can travel through the 4D field and go into the more infinite aspects of our being, or actually I should say more expanded aspects of our being. We have very deep dreamers in light bodies. Some of those dreamers go so deep, they're going even beyond the galactic plane, even beyond the cosmic arena of who they are in their dream time. Okay, this is a very powerful, potent state, very powerful. Okay, so is it even their real self? All right, I'm going to read this whole question. The question is hypnotherapy a form of hijacking? Can hypnosis play an authentic role in authentic awakening? Yes. All right. I mean, the kind of stuff I said, all that other stuff, and I'm just going to say yes. Summarize it with yes. Okay. Is there even? All right. Is it even their real selves, or just forms of manipulation, or is their real selves being nudged to the forefront, or is the hypnotherapist just another layer of falsity? Right. So that all depends on the hypnotherapist. Okay. This is what I mean. You could be going into a vast state within your being. And if your hypnotherapist cannot hold space for that vastness, you are not going to be able to experience the feeling of the vastness because of the presence of that hypnotherapist, because they are the container holding you. Okay. So when I look for hypnotherapy, which I do sometimes, especially to unravel things that I know I have a blind spot. Like I had a lot of abductions experiences when I was a kid, nearly every night between the ages of 4 and 14, actually a little bit less than 14. Anyway, it was regular occurrence, and I've used hypnotherapy to help recover those memories, because they'll reach certain places where I really need to address it. So what I do is I find a hypnotherapist that can actually hold the space for me to access those vast levels of myself. Okay. So if you're going to a hypnotherapist that, for example, that doesn't believe that ETs exist, or doesn't believe that ET abductions are real, then you're not going to be able to really get there with the hypnotherapy session. You see what I mean? You're not going to be able to get to the energy to the depth that you need to bring it to the surface. That's what I mean. Okay. And Eva, it's the same for plant medicine ceremonies. You only can go as far as the container. This is why, if I'm ever going to do ayahuasca again, which I don't think I ever will, I don't need to, but if I were, I want someone who just like, I want someone who can match me in my vastness. Someone who can, or even be beyond that, right? Because the plant can match me, I know. The consciousness can totally go beyond anything that I'm accessing right now. but does the practitioner. The actual essence of the practitioner goes into the medicine as they're making it. So if they are of the highest, say, Christos Sophia consciousness making the vine, the potion that they're making is the highest potential that vine has to offer. You're going to have that, you're going to be able, they'll be able to help you get to that experience. But if not, then no, you're only going to get to what the container holder can do. All right. All right. So let me go through. There's a lot more conversation going on. So I need to share some of this. Oh man, good one. Okay. Okay. So love Dolores Cannon. I found that in my altered state, I'm actually in a hypnotic state, which I feel is either identical or very similar to being under hypnosis. Yes, those of us can go into altered states easily. We can do hypnosis very easily, because it's super close to what our brain waves are used to handling. You know what I mean? Someone who's never been in hypnosis and has been in linear thought for their entire life, there's a lot more process that needs to happen to get them into that deep state. But once they go into that deep state and they experience it, say they record or whatever, now that deep state is that much more accessible to them outside of the hypnotherapy office. So that means their dreams can even go more deeply. Okay. So I don't want their intentional or unintentional suggestion that may be detrimental to my being. Yes, exactly. Yes. Yes. And they may not, most hypnotherapists that I'm aware of are very well-meaning people. They're good, well-meaning people doing the best they can to help the people they can help, right? So I'm not like knocking hypnotherapy, at least, well, maybe it seems like I am. I'm not trying to knock hypnotherapy. It's all about the intention and the capacity, right? And each of us have people that are just right for us to help. Right? So the kind of people that come to me for help are maybe not the kind of people that are going to come to you help. It doesn't mean that what you're doing or what I'm doing is more valuable than anybody else. It just means that you're a frequency match and you can help them. So of course we say yes to that, right? Because we are star seeds. We are driven to do our part to help humanity where we can. All right, dear Sister Eva says, wow, it's not just with hypnotherapy. During plant medicine ceremonies, it feels the same. Depends on who is holding space. That is so true. That is so, so true. Absolutely. Being a part of Dreamtime Healing Project is incredible. Oh, thank you, Tammy. That's cool. That's cool. It is incredible. I mean, I think it's incredible as a facilitator. And I mean, that may sound like I'm tooting my own horn, but what I'm saying is like, I'm blown away by the stuff that we get to in that practice. And we played with the format in different ways too. So it's not like, we're stuck in any one rigid. This is a playground of exploration that we're doing with this in Light Body. So there's lots of freedom and movement, and the places that we go, oh my gosh, absolutely amazing. And this is why I love it so much, because I am deeply, deeply engaged. Like I'm not bored, because all of my being is engaged with what we're doing. You see what I mean? Absolutely. Oh yeah, dear Sister Eva says, my mind is blowing too. Just posted a video testimonial in the Rise group. Oh yeah, yes, you told me you did that. Thank you. I can't wait to check it out. And to be honest, guys, it's uncomfortable getting acknowledgement sometimes, and I know that's my own thing, but the acknowledgement and the testimonial thing, I'm so bad about getting those, about getting them. It's not that they're not there, because they are, but I just have I don't know, I feel shy, I feel something, I feel uncomfortable. Let's just say it like that. Anyway, oh boy, time just flies. Hopefully, dear Bev, I was able to answer those satisfactorily. And thank you, everybody, for bringing your contribution in this conversation. It's so helpful, I think, for other people to know your experience, so they're just not watching me and trying to compare themselves to me. It's like, no, lots of all of you guys, star seeds all over the place, all star shines all over the place, are having these experiences. It's just I happen to be the one that's publicly speaking about it. I've gotten over the fear of the crazy label, so I can be more open about it. But there's many of us that are doing this. This is a phenomenon specifically to the starseed, star shine community, I believe. All right, darlings. Thank you. I love you all. We'll see you guys next time. Mwah. Bye-bye.